Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today we are joined by Rose Harper, the owner and founder of Rose Harper Law. Rose, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And can we just start off? Could you tell the people, tell me a little about yourself and about Rose Harper Law? Who are the people that you help?
Yeah, great. So I'm a personal injury attorney, and I also do wills, trust, and estates mostly for families, for parents with children under the age of 18. I'm a mom myself. My husband and I have 3 kids, and we actually did our estate plan, and that inspired me that I wanted to help other families get this security in place for their families as well.
So when people come to Rose Harper Law, what are some of the problems that you are seeing that they have that you are helping them solve?
Well, it depends on the type of case. So with personal injury, I'm really helping accident victims. So it's people who have been injured in the accident and they're trying to navigate the aftermath of that, which can be really daunting. If you're hurt and you're trying to seek medical attention, you're having to deal with the insurance companies and then also just get better. So my goal really is to take everything off my client's plate so that they can focus on healing. Hopefully, that's the goal. And then that way I can also help them to get compensated for their injuries because, if someone else caused an accident and you got injured, it's really not fair. It's a very big inconvenience and you might have permanent damage to your body.
Right. Well, and so you're handling the personal injury side and you're also handling estate planning.
Yeah.
How does your approach to each of those different types of, legal cases, how is your approach to each one similar and how is it different in each case?
Well, all of my clients get direct access to me. So everyone gets my personal cell phone number, whether you're an estate planning client or a personal injury client. And I feel like that's really important. A big part of me wanting to open my own firm is that I wanted to build a community of people that I have a personal relationship with and I can be their legal resource. So that's
Right.
kind of how I'm similar in both areas. You're going to be able to access me and I'm going to be able to walk you through step by step. It is a little bit different because litigation work can be adversarial, whereas wills, trust, and estates, it's a process that we're going through together and there's no adversarial nature. It's really whatever my clients choose. Whereas on the personal injury side, I'm fighting for the client to get the best for them.
Right. Now, and I guess I'd like to mine a little bit more there. We were talking about the adversarial nature. Do you care to speak a little more to that? Because that seems like that's rather interesting that there's an adversarial nature more so to one side of what you do.
Yeah, so with the personal injury side, that's something that people don't realize either. A lot of times right after an accident, maybe the at-fault driver's insurance company is contacting you, trying to get you to accept a quick settlement, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000. And they're doing that to try to get you to walk away and not actually go to a doctor to actually heal whatever injuries you have. And to me, that's really adversarial because you don't care at all about that person's body or the injuries that they have. You're just trying to close your file, save your insurance company some money on the policy. And I don't think that's what's best. So that's why I feel like everyone after an accident, you should contact a personal injury attorney. You should have an advocate there for you speaking to the insurance companies. And you shouldn't be doing that because everything you say, they're going to take notes on that. They might be recording you. And maybe after the accident, you're hopeful that, I think I'm okay. I think I'll be okay. But then the next day you wake up and you can't move your neck. So they're going to say, well, hold on a minute. Yesterday you told me you were okay. Now you can't move your neck. It's like, you just have to be careful about what you say. And so that's why having an advocate, I've done this for over a decade. I know how to talk with people. So having that resource is really important.
So you mentioned that your own kind of journey in, working out your estate plan inspired you to help others in that field, but was there something that inspired you to pursue personal injury law? How did you get started there?
So I actually don't come from a family of lawyers. My dad was a police officer, my mother a nurse. Most of the people in my family, they are union workers in the city. So when I went off to law school, I didn't have people to lean on to help me, navigate my legal career. So I really went where the opportunities opened for me. And that was through general liability insurance defense work. So I actually worked on the defense side. At the time, I was a single mom, so having benefits, a stable salary, all of that was really important. So I had to look out for, what I needed to do for my family. But that's how I learned about personal injury. So initially, the first 7 years of my career, I was working for national defense firms and in-house for some major insurance companies. I learned a lot. I got trial experience. And then I took 2.5 years off to have my two youngest children. And coming back to work, I kind of realized, well, I didn't go to law school to save the insurance companies a little bit of money. I really went to law school because I want to help people. So when I came back to work, that's when I said, no, I'm going to represent people. And I'm so glad that I made that choice to focus on that, because now I'm plaintiff side for life. That's it.
Well, so you talk about, it seems like you do have this sort of inherent drive to help people, whether it be with their personal injury cases, whether it be with their estate planning. You're helping people. Where would you
Yeah.
say that drive to help people comes from?
I really enjoy connecting with people. I think that's a skill set that I have always had. And I think being of service is really important to me. It's just something that was instilled in me from when I was young. And I'm also Christian. So that's an important belief for me, that I need to be of service to others. So that's probably where that comes from.
Do you care to go down that road a little bit and talk about how your Christian beliefs have influenced what you're doing?
I mean, sure. I guess they mostly influence the way I am every day. So I try to make sure that I'm doing my best to, help others, right? And show up as my best self. So whether that's getting my kids out the door in the morning, which that can be a struggle on its own. And then really supporting my clients. A lot of personal injury work is actually emotionally supporting your clients, because they're in one of the worst states they can be in their life. And it's really hard. Or, speaking about end of life care decisions with my wills, trust, and estates attorney. I mean, these are heavy topics, and I just try to be, a soft ear for people and really be a safe space where they can share
Right.
and freely and, help guide them.
And you mentioned that your father was a police officer and your mother, you said, was a nurse. Is that correct?
Yeah, so she was actually an LPN, but that wasn't her whole career path. She ended up getting a job with a telephone company. I think it was Bell Atlantic at the time, or 9X. So it was like 9X turned into Bell Atlantic, turned into Verizon. But she kind of worked up the corporate ladder. And interestingly enough, my mom actually graduated from college while I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I'm her youngest child. So that I feel like at the time I didn't appreciate what that really did for me, but seeing her work full time, finish college, take care of her family, definitely planted a seed in me that, higher education is important. It is a pathway to success, and it definitely inspired me to continue on that same path. And that brought me to law school.
That's awesome. And that's what I was going to say was, police officer, nurse, both paths of helping people. Right?
True.
And I mean,
Yeah.
those having a father who's a police officer had to instill some of those values, right?
Absolutely, yes. And the town that I grew up in, my dad actually ended up becoming the chief of police in
Oh,
that
wow.
same town. And it's a really small town, right on the Hudson River. And yeah, just being able to be a part of the community, help people in their time of need, definitely an essential aspect to, the police force.
So we've talked about some of the people that you've helped and what problems you solve, But for those people that maybe should come to Rose Harper Law with their problems and they don't, what happens if they don't address those problems? What does that look like for those people?
So, with regard to estate planning, if you don't have an estate plan in place, the state you live in, they'll make a plan for you. They already have one. That's the intestacy laws. And if you don't have a will drawn up, or, well, really, if you don't have a trust in place for your family, then your estate is going to be probated. So, you're going to go through a court process. Every state is different, but the truth is that even in probate friendly states, it's still a good amount of time that your family is going to have to go through the court system. They still have to hire a lawyer. There's going to be fees associated with that process.
Right.
On average, we estimate between 3 and 7% of the gross estate would be paid out in order to even process the estate through the probate court. So it can be time consuming, it can be stressful, and also costly to your family. So I usually tell people, if you're a parent, you own a home, you have a life insurance policy, and you have minor children, that's really, you really want to get your estate in place. And I think people are misguided in the sense that, well, they think that they don't need it right away, or they think that they don't even have enough assets to put an estate in place. But the truth is that if you own a home and you have some of these other things in place, or you have minor children, you definitely want to get it done as soon as possible.
Right. Now, Rose Harper Law operates out of Westchester County, correct?
Yeah, so I'm licensed in New York and New Jersey. The first 7 years of my career was pretty much all New York law. I had cases throughout the 5 boroughs, and then also up into the Hudson Valley. So I was really all over the place. And then coming back for the past 3 years, I've had a split caseload, so in both New York and New Jersey.
So what would you say in your area, what separates Rose Harper Law maybe apart from some of the other firms in your area in Westchester County?
So I think that in choosing a lawyer, people need to consider what they're looking for. So some of the larger firms, the attorneys are mostly focused on litigation cases. If you're a pre-litigation case, your case is going to get handled by a paralegal and a case manager who's not a lawyer. And they're high volume. So you might only speak to your lawyer if you call them, once or twice a year. So at Rose Harper Law, that's not the case. I handle every single case. I speak with my clients frequently. Again, they have my cell phone, and really get more of a hands-on guided approach. And I really emphasize educating my clients. So I want them to feel comfortable and confident because they're ultimately the decision maker. So right. I'm just here to put them in the best position possible to get the best result for them. And then at the end of the day, each decision along the way is going to be theirs.
Right. And is this personalized approach, is it something that you've worked to really cultivate? Or is it something that has just come naturally as a result of your values and your inherent beliefs?
I think it's both because, something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which also prompted me to open my own firm, is I want every aspect of my life to be aligned. So I don't want to be doing something at work that's not aligned with my values, my beliefs. And then the same thing, like I want my household and my being a wife and a mother and a friend and, all of these things to really align with, who I want to be and how I want to show up. So,
right. Yeah. And what steps, I guess this might be a little bit of a redundant question, but what particular steps do you take to ensure that personalized service for every client?
Do the work. You got to do the work. You got to dig in. I check in with my clients, and a lot of times, especially like with personal injury, sometimes clients will bring me things that they're actually not related to their case, but like, it's okay. I'll talk with them about it, or people bring me things where it's like not my area of law, but that's okay. I'll find someone to give them that personal connection. Like I want to be their legal resource. So if you have an issue and it's not an area of law that I handle, I have a wide network of, really exceptional attorneys that I network with, and I can give you that personal connection where your case is going to be, at the top of their list because they know that I will be on them if it's not.
Well, this show, I would love to speak a little bit more about that. This show is Partnerships for Profit, and those partnerships, that's what I would love to speak a little bit more about, is how do you cultivate those relationships with those other attorneys to build and create that wide network?
So, I think it's challenging. It's time consuming and it's something that takes time. Especially like after COVID now, I feel like getting
Mm,
back into that flow of making those connections, even like right after law school, you're kind of like so busy just grinding, trying to learn and get your feet under you. You're not really paying attention to like, oh, I should network with these people and, make sure I'm holding on to these connections. But it is so important. And what I've realized is that people do want to connect with you. Don't like let fear or feeling like, oh, I don't want to bother someone. You're not bothering anyone.
right.
Reach out. And, if they're not able to meet up with you, it's okay. Don't take it personal. Move on to the next person because there's a lot of people who similarly want to grow their networks. Like I said, because someone might come to them and even though they can't personally help them, they'd rather put them with someone that they know
Right.
and can reach out to. Everyone wants their family and friends to be well taken care of. And, so just making those connections is important. But I would say just put yourself out there, reach out. LinkedIn has been amazing for me. Posting on LinkedIn regularly, connecting with people on LinkedIn, but not just connecting with them. Message them, exchange phone numbers and emails, and say, "Hey, can we set up a 10-minute call?" Just so I can learn about what you do and let me know who I can connect you with. I actually just
Right.
had a call this morning with another attorney. She does a different area of law than me. And we both asked each other, who's the best person we can connect you with? And I was able to connect her with one of my good friends, today, and they're going to hop on a call tomorrow. So just little things like that, there's a domino effect. And yeah, so I would just encourage everyone to really get the ball rolling, start. Don't be scared. It's okay. Post, reach out, and you'll find your community. So I'm sure that there are people who maybe think like, oh, her LinkedIn posts are super cringy or, whatever the case may be, but that's okay. I'm not going to be a good referral partner for them. And, they'll find their people. It's okay. I'm good with, whoever feels compelled that we're a good match and we can help each other. That's wonderful.
Well, you've talked a little bit about the kind of power of LinkedIn and social media platforms to really build these connections.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, in what ways have you seen kind of social media and now AI and all these emerging technologies? In what ways have you seen that impact the legal field?
Oh, it's definitely impacting the legal field, especially social media. So if you're an attorney and you're willing to put yourself out there on social media, it opens a lot of doors for you. And like I've made connections with a lot of other attorneys through TikTok,
Really?
actually. Yeah, because it's one of those platforms where like not everyone's on it yet in the legal field. So if you come across other attorneys who are taking it serious and actually posting on there, um, you recognize one another like, oh, they're making an effort to grow on here, let me help them. And it's been wonderful for me making connections through there. And I mean, the content is fun. You can be funny. You don't have to be serious, on there. So it's just an interesting insight. Like people get to see more of like who you are as a person on there, I think, versus just like, let me give you legal advice or kind of a more stoic, stern interaction. It can be more, comfortable, low key.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to that personalized service and that personalized, aspect of what you do. And all of these sort of social media platforms, they really allow people to share their stories so people can get to know them. And I'm sure you have seen plenty of stories in your role with Rose Harper Law. And I was wondering, is there a particular story that really stands out? Is there a particular story that you could share that is something that really stands out, that maybe you really saw a transformation in someone as a result of your help and your guidance?
Yeah, well, one comes to mind. I actually had a jury trial in Westchester County. And for that case, I was representing the defendant, actually. It was a stay-at-home mom, and one of her kids had turned the radio up really high in the car. So when she turned the car on, like the radio was blasting. So she actually was just kind of trying to turn the volume down. So she took her eyes off the road. And believe it or not, she hit a parked police car.
Oh, oh,
But the police officer was in there and he was claiming all these serious injuries from it. But ultimately, I was able to prove that the injuries he was claiming with fractured clavicle was actually from a prior four-wheeling accident.
oh, wow.
And I mean, she was just so anxious over this case, and it was really, I think that made me realize like how personal this can be, even for the defendant. Like the value of his case was within the policy limits anyway. There was no personal liability on her, but it was just such an emotional experience for her. So being able to really relay her story in a way that gave her kind of like full circle completion of this entire thing, plus the jury verdict win at the end, was really moving for me. And I'm glad I got that experience on the defense side. It definitely helps me kind of gain perspective on the plaintiff side, right? Like, yes, accidents happen, but accidents don't just happen. It happened because you're negligent, right? Like, yeah, even though it's unfortunate this happened, like she took her eyes off the road. She shouldn't have done that, right? If
Right.
you're taking your eyes off the road, then you need to be stopped. And, that's okay, but then you need to pay for the damages. Anyway, so it's just, that was really interesting to be able to get that perspective. And then another thing that comes to mind is just kind of growing up, I did have one aunt who was a lawyer. She ended up passing away my first year of law school. But before law school, I worked with her one summer, and she was like, again, like in the small town I grew up in, she was just like a local lawyer. But she really was a resource to the elderly community. And they would call her for like all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't even, areas of law that she practiced, but she would just say like, okay, give me like 3 hours, and then she would look up whatever, problem they were trying to solve, find out what they needed to do, and then get back to them. She was not a wise businesswoman because she was doing a lot of free work for people. But I think that really inspired me to be that community resource. Like I'm hoping to build up that community for myself, and, hopefully, I'll be able to do that over the next few years.
Right. That's incredible. And I guess one of the things that I think is pretty remarkable that I have a hard time wrapping my head around a little bit is you're working in these situations where your clients are feeling all of these emotions. It's all of this highly emotional, situations. And of course, you've spoken a little bit about how that emotion impacts you. You feel that emotion to some degree. Do you find it difficult to separate yourself from those emotions? Do you have to kind of box them up at the end of the day? Or how do you deal with some of the emotions that you feel in this position?
Yeah, I think that deep breaths.
A
Like I just take
loaded
a deep breath.
question.
No, I think that that's something that you build up over time. So, like for example, the work that I'm doing now, maybe I would not have had the emotional capacity to be able to handle either the volume or the depth of the type of cases that I'm handling. But that's something that I've built up over time by the different types of cases or life circumstances that I've had. Like I had my first son very young. I've been through a lot of hardships. And just over time, I've navigated, okay, like how do I overcome the, whatever emotions I'm feeling at that time, and, still show up in the way that I want to for the people around me.
Right. So you really do have to separate to some degree, personal and professional. And do you find that difficult?
It can be challenging, but I have young children. So, there's always like something funny happening in our house, like something ridiculous going on. So I guess that helps to kind of like lighten the mood. And it's just like a very different dynamic, right? So when I'm at work, I am dealing with certain types of problems versus when I'm home, it's like, I don't know, I forgot to put, whatever permission slip in the bag in the morning or something. My 5-year-old, he's definitely like my future lawyer. He's a real negotiator. So, actually, there really isn't much separation. I practice my negotiation skills all day. So.
That's great. That's awesome. Rose, thank you so much for stopping by today and speaking with us. And if anybody out there listening needs or could use the services of Rose Harper Law, how do they reach out to you? How can our listeners find you?
I have a website, roseharperlaw.com. My email is rose@roseharperlaw.com. And hopefully I'll be connecting with people soon.
Rose, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. This has been a great time. And thank you everyone for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Rose, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.